He's an incredible man. He spent his last 20 years in Patmos as a hermit.
I see.
So people would drop in, like Bob would come and spend a month. So this person could come. You see, we were dying for people to come,
Right.
to pay a little money to
Right.
stay.
There was Natasha Spender. You remember her, the wife of the poet, and she was friends with Alison Hooper. His son Jeremy also came. Jeremy Hooper. And someone called Daphne, but I don't know who Daphne was.
Jeremy, you see, so there's a whole, you see, I was doing my studies then, so things were going on, and Dr. Thompson would bring people, so I'm a little bit lost, that none of those names click. And as my preoccupation then was just to keep it going.
Keep it going, okay.
And Thompson was not in charge, the people who kept, we were about 6 of us keeping the thing going, not having any salaries, not having anything like this. So we were concerned, and Thompson could bring in people and he would see them, this sort of thing. And so he would, a lot of these things are probably around him, but I'm a bit lost there.
You're a bit lost, okay, fair enough. I understand. So long ago.
I mean, it's true that Eau Vive was at the beginning of a lot of, these new communities now that are, this is a preview of all that.
I mean, in one sense, Dr. Thompson was in some ways a very conservative person, but in another sense, it's that all you need is love.
Yes,
it's a very,
yes.
It's the philosophy of the 1960s, the generation of living in a community, and you can change the world through love. And that, as far as I can understand, has a theological basis, and John Thompson was using ideas of Martin Buber with the spiritual writings of Père Thomas. And
this is
very
all what
deep,
I would say is what we do at L'Arche, you see.
Right.
But I wasn't there at that time. First of all, I was young. I wasn't there the same way, you see. I was doing theology, and it's taken me time to assimilate all that. So what was very much Père Thomas, and I wasn't yet there.
Yes, I can see that. I wondered whether it wasn't the courses of Jacques Maritain at Eau Vive. He was lecturing 48, 49, and whether John Thompson didn't go to his lecture courses.
This is not impossible. You see, there was. I never assisted at those courses where Maritain was there. Maritain gave them, I don't know, maybe every year, but he certainly gave them in 51. I went to see him to see if he would come in 52, and he refused because of all the complexities and so on. And I think Thompson went to see him. He was certainly influenced by Maritain and by others.
And that seems to me a very definite link. John Thompson's library is in the Bronx Psychiatric Hospital, and there is a photograph of Maritain, and of course there is and it's a mixture of theology, psychology, poetry, and it's just there for anyone to use. I think it's wonderful that after all these years, his books, and a few of the books are from Latin things and canon law and so on, and they were clearly given to him at Eau Vive by various people. So they sit there.
An amazing culture. But at the same time, I was a bit frightened of him because I just didn't quite know who he was.
Yeah.
With these. So I had more difficulty, entering into a more friendly relationship. First of all, I was much younger.
I can understand that, and your sense of, you had a very close friend, Milton Rosenbaum, who also visited, in fact Milton and his family also visited Eau Vive, but Milton said, well, but never knew these stories which John. So it's a series of stories, and I'm very careful looking at documents and so on. And many of them have a basis. I would say some are then stylized. I think they're like parables.
Yeah, and it showed us where his interest was also.
Yeah. So there is a truth always, although it may not be, I can say, the sort of factual truth, but there is, but they do relate to, I mean, these experiences and so on. He was definitely, say, many of these political links, many of these, he was going through papers of people like Margaret Mead and so on. I mean, yes, there'll be letters from John Thompson.
No, I mean, I still keep him as one of the most extraordinary people, and particularly a gratefulness to what he has eventually come down to me through Père Thomas, is, that love is healing.
It's very interesting. There's some of the young students then worked with R.D. Laing and set up therapeutic communities. And one of them said to me, "Oh, John Thompson, yes, I think of him every day. It's a therapeutic community called the Arbours in London. And there's another one called Spring Lake Ranch in Vermont. And so there are these therapeutic
I've
communities."
always been slightly hesitant when the leader is the father figure, the psychologist, and the guru. This was very much with Bettelheim, but it was with Ronnie Laing as well.
Right.
A unifying force. And I always say that it's important to have a father figure, have a good psychologist, and a priest working together. Otherwise, there's too much power invested in one person. And John Thompson could have become one of these people because he was a psychologist, he was a father figure, he was a guru. I mean, he could have been all that.
But it was divided, in his case it was divided. I can say it was a legacy which, say Sebastian Lippmann did a wonderful work with schizophrenia, schizophrenic, which was one of John Thompson's interests. But it was always, in fact, indirect, his legacy.
Yeah. But he could, I think in his dream there was something about it.
But he also said we must recreate Eau Vive.
Yeah.
And he looked back on it and he said, no, these were wonderful days. I mean, at the time, clearly, when he writes Sebastian, it's a time of anguish for him, I think. Well, it was mixed. I think, as far as I can see, he derived, I would say, the daily routine of Mass in the morning. He was fascinated by saints' lives. So his reading and then Compline in the evening and prayer was clearly very important for him. I mean, and he couldn't, I think, get through the day without these spiritual infusions. I think that's his, I mean, that was very important. And then all these other ideas are woven into it. But I take his religiosity very seriously. So that, I mean, I think my attempt is to understand and to try and
that I really believe that that is through his religiosity that he was touched by Père Thomas. Deep spiritual. I think if he could have had his way, he would have been the leader of Eau Vive and bring things together.
So that is the thing, but he wouldn't have been a good leader.
No,
because I think he was too up and down. I think he was too emotional. I mean, I think he was psychologically. He has highs and lows.
Too much personal, very much personal, but not much organisation.
Well, thank you very much.